I have this wonderful honor of closing the sessions today, of this wonderful day, which is also a scary honor because going after all these wonderful talks, it's a bit of a pressure. But nevertheless, let's kind of go through this together. So my name is Nikola Damjanov. I work actually in a mobile gaming company called Nodevember. We are kind of based in Serbia. We make mobile games. So basically what I do during the day is that I make procedural systems specifically for sports games and specifically for football and golf, which can and cannot be that exciting. But what I do is that in order to kind of compensate for that, let's say, lack of creativity, I tend to work on a lot of personal projects. And I was actually here 3 years ago, gave a talk about a lot of those projects as well, kind of going through the history of how proceduralism kind of generally affected my personal projects and how it still does. And I had such a wonderful time 3 years ago that I'd actually begged them to come back this year to showcase some new stuff. And the way kind of I deal with like this lack of creativity, a little bit to my personal anxiety issues, is that sometimes I'm like a raven. I see like a shiny next thing and I fly over it over there, or there is a new piece of thing that I want to learn, so I try building some new systems, or there is just like a spark of an idea in my mind that just kind of want to experiment either in Houdini or in some other generative approach. But what happens, not all the time, but like some of the time, is that as soon as I get that initial hurdle over, as soon as I kind of learn something, or as I try that experiment, even though I have the ambition of creating something like more like bigger than the initial idea, I generally kind of tend to stop and like go to the next thing. So my folder with like work in progress files is just like an elephant graveyard of many things. And it just kept growing. So at one point I realized that I need a little bit of structure, I guess, in my personal approach. Not too much. I'm still kind of want to keep the artsy thing going and be wild and flexible. But some structure sounded like a good idea to start with. And actually, if you want to see the talk, you can kind of follow it. I kind of go into way kind of more stuff, and I'll dive deeper into some other stuff today. So I came across this initiative, so to call it. It's called Nodevember. And I kind of hope that you heard about it. If not, basically what it is, it's like a community-driven event that lasts through the month of November. You kind of guessed it. And the whole idea is that you get these prompts, which are like delivered to you at the beginning of the month. It used to be one prompt per day. Now it's like one prompt every 2 days. And the whole idea is that you generate something as a response to that prompt. It can be whatever it is, like audio, visual, whatever it is, but it should be kind of done with nodes. So with a procedural system, so. And I thought this great. So somebody's going to give me structure, somebody's going to time box me as well. So this sounded like a good idea. And it's also nodes, which I really love. And it's also not November, which is kind of like my birthday month. So I kind of checked all the boxes for that. And my initial try was 2020-21. Which was for me actually like a really good test of just kind of going deep into procedural modeling. And the prompts back then were like not that many descriptive. They're kind of very simple, which I liked at that point. They're kind of very open to interpretation. So the prompts were like 3 points, 5 points, 6 points, or like 6 sides actually. You can see the football influence here as well. Or then like round, square, or just kind of simple colors like red in this case. Or blue, or like just like a very small size, like small, medium, large. And as my first like venture into this idea, like all this is like either done in Houdini or in some of the examples were done in Substance Designer. I kind of went the purist route. I was like, cool, I'm going to approach this completely procedurally, and I'm going to touch nothing manually. Even the texture, everything going to be like done on a procedural way. And it was challenging. Some like artworks more than others, but it was also liberating because, by the end of the day, I could see a result even though I spat out only one artwork, I could like do easily some variations. But something like at least I felt like something was missing, because like once you can learn your regular kind of procedural modeling approaches in Houdini, you kind of tend to repeat the patterns. Here and there, you maybe come encounter with a different problem, but it's usually, you know, like one of those things that you learn along the way and keep solving it the same way. So then came the next year, and I kind of said like, okay, this year I'm gonna like do something else. I want to make the challenge a bit more difficult to myself. And I have two kids. They're now 9 and 6 years old. And every time we drive them every morning either to school or kindergarten, we tend to play either games, or they have some really interesting questions or things to do. And right about around this time period, they kind of learned about like rhymes and like doing rhymes, and we were like doing very stupid like kid level rhymes on the way to the school. And I thought like, yeah, this might be a good thing that I can incorporate maybe in my Nodevember challenge. So I decided, cool. So I can see all the prompts, but what I'm going to do first, I'm going to write a rhyme that includes the prompt, and then I'm going to respond to that rhyme with some procedural work. And I think I'm like not ashamed to say that probably my kids would do better poems than I did, but the poems are not the point, at least not the point. They were just kind of like a stepping stone to whatever I wanted to achieve. So I start with a poem, and then I kind of try to see what can I kind of respond as an artist compared to this poem. And we'll get back to this, because this is kind of my favorite piece from that year's batch. This time around, the prompts were way more kind of descriptive. You can usually see them. They're the ones in the capital case in the poem in the upper right corner. And I also tried to be a bit more, like a smart going this. So I tried to do like some political commentary. I like inspired things by like Pixar or the movies that I liked. Or just kind of trying to elevate, to try to build a little bit more scenes than actual assets. Sometimes I think I manage, other times I don't, maybe not so much. But there were simple things that I felt were really impactful, and some things that I spent really like a lot of time on, but I didn't at all like them how they turned up in the end. I just love Futurama. This is kind of procedurally modeled Bender, but textures are actually cheated here. Textures are not done procedurally. I mean, it would be crazy to do this procedurally. And also wanted to experiment a little bit like with viewpoints, just kind of trying out new things. So I'm not just only doing like procedural modeling, but every time I try to do a little bit of a twist here and there. So one of those twists that I actually wanted to try out while I was working with this was actually like, I wanted to try build like at least one animation out of all these things. Every time I spit out an image and I like the image, but I always I wanted to move. I wanted to like feel a bit more alive. And again, like at the time I was like watching Pinocchio with my kids. Like I love my kids. I steal so much stuff for them. Like they're like really useful for whenever you have a creative block, just go and like spend 5 minutes with your kids. You're like flowing with new ideas. And we were like watching Pinocchio, and like Monstro felt like cool. Like this is an interesting thing that I can properly model procedurally. It has this like a simple but very iconic design. But I also saw this guy like when one of those like death scrolls you go on Instagram. I saw a guy actually making these like kinetic toys, like real life kinetic toys, and I was mesmerized by them. And like usually, like how hard can this be to actually kind of model this? So I gave it a go. And like I think that the actual like the simplicity, so to call it, of the design of the Monstro was actually kind of a good choice for proceduralism, because it is kind of elongated. So everything is basically based on just lines and lofts. So once you get the entire body shape, you can start like deciding where the eyes are going to go or where the mouth is going to go. And like from that position, you can extend like those lines. You can start building those muscle structures. I would say like quite easily. This was kind of in the end came out a bit easier than I would expect. This like even the fins and the tail fin and the side fins were modeled just by lofting and pad deforming simple lines and outlines. And like the underbelly was just kind of sliced. And in the end, you know, when you just kind of VDB everything out of it, it kind of comes down to what you would expect. The actual mechanism, again, every time when I can cheat, I do cheat. I mean, it's not a simulation, just anything. It just kind of tracks the position of the placement of the individual elements. Textures were done procedurally, but I did them in Painter because I wanted some kind of a cute masking to it. Even the animation like was done procedurally, and I'm not an animator. I'm like far from it. But whenever I get a chance to animate some things, I try to animate them. And I'm too lazy usually to place any keyframes. So whenever I can kind of get away with just doing like formulas or waveforms, I do it. And I think this was again a good use case to showcase that, you know, just with simple links and waveforms, you can get a little bit of an organic feel to the animations itself. And this was the final result, and I was quite happy with it. Like after 2 years of doing this Nodevember, this was kind of finally maybe the piece where I was like, I think that I want to create more of this, not less of this. I kind of fell in love with this kind of loopable animation things, and I wanted to do more. So then came the 2023 year, and I had like really high ambitions. Like usually my ambitions are way bigger than actual my skill level, which is not that bad. It kind of pushes you, but it can be detrimental sometimes. And when I saw the prompts and they were like really descriptive, I was like all of these, like I immediately have a bunch of ideas that I want to do. But that year, like November was literally a really busy month for me. And I kind of missed the entire November. I didn't get a chance to actually do anything. I just started on the first one, and November passed, and I was feeling like really bad. Like, oh, okay, like what am I gonna do now? Like I don't want to abandon the whole idea, but I will do it on my own pace. Like I'm not gonna relinquish the whole idea of doing these things, but I'm going to do it kind of the way I want it. Like, which not ideally, because like can you remove the time box equation from the entire thing? Which has proven more than once is not a good solution for me, but nevertheless, I decided I'm going to do it. First thing was Gorgeous Garden. So I cannot call, I think, myself a Houdini artist if I don't do at least one flower blooming animation. I guess that's the global standard these days. And my one was not probably as complex or even as smart as good looking as the other ones. As you can see, maybe it doesn't really respect any like local collisions, but it was a good start for me. I wanted to kind of like start on a high note. I wanted to build something that like felt artistic and beautiful to me, but also like you can like start watching it and maybe lose a little bit of sense of time because you never know what's going to start and when it's gonna end. From there, I moved to Lovely Lake. And again, like piggybacking on my kids' creativity more than on my own, my daughter at the time had this like self-challenge that she tried to build like origami paper boats out of smaller and smaller pieces of paper. And I found that like super cute. I still like keep a bunch of them. They were like really small. And I was like, how hard can it be to actually build origami in like Houdini? Like should be like a very easy thing to proceduralize. And I'm guessing it is if you're like smarter than me, but I did a little bit of it. So apparently if you just kind of chain up your knife and polybevel and bend nodes in a kind of a logic way, you can get something which looks like an origami. You can like set up your fault line and your bend angles. You can actually build like your like on the fly procedurally all the edges that you need to actually fold the paper. Now, in this case, because it was a boat, I couldn't really get it all the way like the way I wanted, because at the end you need to kind of unfold the paper, and that's where kind of my whole system like had broke. But I did some kind of manual like poly modeling at the end to get it all the way. So it actually is doesn't look like folded paper, which if I go back to the original look, you don't actually see it. But nevertheless, I kind of felt okay with it. The rest of the scene is actually pretty simple. It's just kind of the ocean spectrum blended around the boat itself, and a little bit of like a displacement for the street, and simple volume simulation for the actual like those small flags above the boat. Then it came like chaotic cooking, and this is kind of where I felt like I started kind of losing my mojo a little bit. I had this grand vision of like this very complex but also very uncanny Witcher's cauldron, that kind of moves and behaves in a really unexpected way. And I really kind of wanted to lean on the simulation side of Houdini, but I'm not a simulation guy in Houdini, so I really struggled with this one. In the end, I had to kind of cut my losses, and I decided like, okay, this is good enough. So there's kind of a little bit of dynamic Voronoi going on there, and basically the fire actually is clipping the iron of the cauldron. But I was never super happy with this one. So I felt like I need a little bit of a palette cleanser, so to say. So Weird Wardrobe was the next one, and I was like, cool. So I don't know simulations in Houdini, so let's try every simulation that exists and and put it in one piece of wardrobe. So like I'm going to brute force this learning and just do like whatever. So I kind of went to so many tutorials, documentation, just decided I'm going to do whatever it's necessary, just going to elevate my knowledge. And I did feel a little bit like that spider that's being tossed around, hanging for dear life. But nevertheless, I kind of finished something which felt like an improvement from the last project. So next game, Museum Maze. In Museum Maze, I was kind of feeling it again. I was feeling good. I have all these books where I work, and one of them was, of course, one of the Escher's work, which I really enjoy. And Museum Maze was like, it was immediately sparked me as a type of Escher-esque kind of a thing. So what I did is I just modeled like one very simple corner of his staircase. But then I wanted it to move. I wanted this to kind of like reconfigure itself, because, you know, like even again, like watching, for example, Harry Potter, where all the staircases move with my kids, I wanted to do something like this. And I really couldn't like solve it. I was kind of really struggling to do something either, I don't know, like simulation based or keyframe. I couldn't really crack it. And then I found out like octrees exist, and they're actually pretty good use case for these kinds of animation. What's even better, there's like a very nice HDA already built by, I think the game, the Damjanov, that you can just kind of use to animate things like this. So sometimes like other people help me through my creative blockades, which is really nice. So I kind of went that point in a mode where, okay, maybe I can get like bit more inspired by other great artists. And I saw like what Rich Lore did. He's like one of the greatest Houdini artists. He has like this really cool piece of this like circular legs walking around. His pace is like way better than mine, but I wanted to try out, like, can I recreate something similar? And like mountaineering mission felt like, and I do like hikes. Whenever I can, I go out in the nature and hike. That felt like a nice approach to this topic, like an everlasting hike through a local forest. So what I did here is I kind of reversed the process in the sense that I took a very simple walking animation from Mixamo, and I just kind of isolated the lower parts of the lower legs, and like from that like skeleton or armature, I started building the actual model. So I didn't build a model and then did the animation. I kind of just took the skeleton and like poly and VDB model things around it. So the rig is actually pretty easy in the end once you finish that. And once you have animation, it's like you can just copy it around with a copy and transform node to get your thing. Again, I was like feeling really good. Oh, sorry, that's like at least you're awake now, I guess. And like I had this idea, maybe I can piggyback on the shoulders of giants a little bit more. And I don't know if you ever saw, but there are some animations that really kind of like stay in my mind for like years. And one of those was like from Gavin Shapiro. He's the guy who I like, for me at least, that I know kind of like really dominates this kind of infinity loopable zoomable animation. He has those like things with flamingos and penguins. It's like they're like super fantastic. And I was like, I mean, I really wanted to figure out how can you do these things. Because you need to find a way to like scale those recursive shapes and like so you don't lose the momentum, so everything needs to match perfectly. And I tried to do it by hand. I failed it. I knew it should be some kind of exponential function, but I couldn't crack it by hand. Luckily, I found one of his talks where he kind of describes what he does, and the magic formula is quite simple. So. I mean, this is kind of the formula, and this is like the code that you need to have in Houdini. So basically, what it says is that, and I'm sure that he'll probably explain it a million times better than I can. So that the scale is the actual scale factor that you're scaling down every next recursive shape The number exponent is the amount of scale downs that you need to go to get back to the original position. And like time and duration, I think it's kind of self-explanatory. I start from like ff minus 1 because by default in Houdini the first frame is 1, and you want to start from 0 because at that point when your exponent thing is on 0, the first initial scale is 1. So how that actually translates? So if you have a shape which is recursive, I just kind of add some color so we don't lose kind of sense of direction. So you need to scale it down to 1/3 of the size in order for this shape to fit the hole. So that's the 1/3. And each time it's rotated 90 degrees, as you can see, like if you follow the colors. So you need like 4 rotations or 4 transforms. That's the fourth thing to match the final, the original position. And like just by that, you get your infinity zoom loopable animation. And this works on any object, like 2D, 3D, as long as it's a bit recursive, you can play around with this. But it kind of tends to get tricky if the kind of recursion is not central based, so you kind of have to deal with the offset pivot points. But again, not that big of an issue if you kind of know what you're dealing with. So this was my first attempt at this. I started with a kind of 3D recursive shape. It's just kind of a cube which has its corner removed, so the recursion is on the corner of the cube. And I kind of thought that like Super Mario aesthetics in the game was kind of good enough. I still haven't been sued by Nintendo, which I guess is either a good thing or a bad thing. And like the actual approach was simple, you know, like there's like lot subdivision and modeling. It's like super simple. What I actually kind of really liked is that the Super Mario, the original one there, I just kind of traced the original sprite sheets as a geometry, and I just kind of gave it a little bit of volume, and then I just kind of go through them in a switch node to kind of get this kind of sprite sheet animation feel back to it. And I was feeling like, okay, I'm getting my mojo back. This is looking cool. I love it. I mean, the response people around me is kind of validating that this is going well. And like, I really wanted like the next piece to be kind of the culmination of my efforts here. And we come to board game binge. I'm like a huge fan of board games, especially now that I play them often with my kids. Again, kids to the rescue. So I decided to kind of keep it 2D level recursion in this sense. It's basically a triangle with a missing the middle. But I went all in. I was like, I'm going to try to do the purist route here and do everything procedurally, hopefully zero cheating. In the end, I did cheat a little bit because you can see the wooden textures and the actual letters on the Scrabble. I did it like a sprite sheet texture in Painter, not directly. But everything else is completely modeled procedurally in Houdini. It was a little bit difficult to try kind of plan out all the routes, but when you have the base shape, you can just export it to like your like tool of choice and start painting. And because the UVs like kind of match, you can easily kind of get to what you wanna do. And I'll like give a little bit of a breakdown. I mean, luckily some things are quite easy. You can just kind of divide things. We know like board games are usually very regular in subdivision. But I wanted to create like as many board games as I possibly could. So you have Catan, I don't know, Battleship. There's I think. I don't know, you even model the ships for Catan. Yeah, I love spending like stupid amount of times on things which nobody sees and only I know that they exist. But I guess that's kind of one of the perks that when you do like personal works, like you don't have to like actually explain yourself and how you spend your time to nobody but yourself and your wife and your kids. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it's okay. So, and this is kind of the next one, the sailing story. I felt a little bit, you know, like creatively, emotionally deflated once I finished the board game binge. I really invested a lot of time into finishing that one. But I did have an interesting idea what I wanted to do for the sailing story. My initial concept was I want to create a system that you can actually kind of just type in whatever string that you like, and it will kind of dissect that into these nautical flags, because in these like nautical flags, every letter has its own symbol, and I just wanted it to be like a ever-going loopable animation of these flags going up. I just did the proof of concept and look development and rendering for the one, and I just kind of stopped there. And one point I might come back to it, but I don't know. But I was kind of rudely interrupted with some work at that point. which I hate when that happens, because I'm usually very protective of my personal and free time. But like when friends come knocking on the door or something cool appears, I'm usually like open for collaboration. And this was a little bit one of it. So my friend, like he started his own like startup. He created a product which dealt with like game and analytics data. And like I've known him for a long time. And he asked me, like, we have this branding and all set up, but I would like to have some like backgrounds or some abstract area that I can use as filler for presentations. And I was in my like Oprah moment, like, and you get an animation and you get an animation. So like, no, I can do you backgrounds, but what if I do you animated backgrounds? So like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do animated backgrounds. As you see, like I kind of piggybacked a little bit on Zoom loops, but he did other things as well. He wanted to keep things abstract. His whole concept was about kind of like breathing in new life into games, constructing and deconstructing data at the same time, like building these networks of data points that kind of intertwine. So I kind of like took those aesthetics and built some animations for them. Then came another very interesting work along my path, which I enjoyed really much, to be honest. So Side Effects contacted me because they were like kind of getting ready to develop some completely new feature, or the Copernicus, the new COPS, and they asked me if I wanted to kind of test run it. And do some like materials and then hopefully, like showcase them at Hive and Paris. And I was like, yeah, sure, I can do like a couple of materials. But in my mind, I was doing animations. So what I did, I was like, okay, I need to like still focus on materials here. So my idea was, okay, I can build probably very simple meshes, but I want to derive like all the sentiment, probably animations from the materials itself. And here you can see like the meshes are pretty simple, and all the materials on the left side are made like directly procedurally in Copernicus, and basically all the details in the scene comes from displacement data in this case. If you want to know more about this, I did that. I ended up doing a talk at Hive in Paris. There's a full talk around that, but Side Effects were also very generous to actually share the actual COPS file of the textures, so you can go and kind of poke and see a little bit how I did. I also kind of use that Zoom loop a little bit because like some bad things happened in my country. Like there's a lot of this. There still is a lot of protests going on. I don't want to bother with too much detail. So I did kind of got myself a little bit, like reacting artistically to the political climate. It had some political things to say and comment. So I did like a couple of these kind of anti-corruption short animations, which ended up being popular in the Serbia, which is kind of the intended audience. But again, I needed a little bit of a palette cleanser. So what I wanted to do is that I always kind of saw these little bit kind of 2D animations interesting, but I never actually did them. I wanted to see how difficult can they be to be done in Houdini. Actually quite easy. Like you just like find a nice image, a nice clean plate, and if you just kind of project your UVs from camera, you can build your proxy meshes and just kind of start building animations. And they're like, the whole idea was this kind of, let's just do something that kind of feels uncanny, but not too much. You would expect it or not expect it. I wasn't aiming for any specific aesthetics or anything. It was just kind of a very quick, short experiments that I wanted to test out. And one of those was this, which was kind of a little bit inspired. Oh, come on, play. Don't do this to me now. Okay, so there's an animation of this going like a snake and then coming back to the original, this whole statue, which I felt was cute. Had a little bit of a Monty Python vibe to it. And at that time, I kind of wanted to see like, can I try TikTok? Am I too old for TikTok? Have I like passed the like? Can it like? Is this even a viable thing for TikTok? And I posted this on TikTok, and I was like, oh, holy shit. Like within a couple of days, like 500,000 views. I was like, oh my God, I'm the new TikTok prodigy. Algorithm loves me. Like, what am I going to do with all the money I'm going to earn right now? Like, there's my chance to be a rich artist. And you can see that immediately, like after a couple of days, went back to zero because apparently this is nudity and sexual activity. Yeah, because there's a naked butt on a sculpture over there, and out of all platforms on TikTok, this is banned. I was like perplexed because when I scroll TikTok in Serbia, it's just like it's crime and like profanity, and I was getting banned. I don't know, man. I guess as an artist, I'm maybe ahead of my time. Nevertheless, this didn't stop me. What this kind of like pushed forward is that like people for the company, these like lovely people which are dealing with like hiring and HR, they kind of saw what I was doing and they felt these animations were charming, and I said 500,000 charming. They did not like that, but they did invite me to kind of help solve them a problem that they were facing at the time. So we're trying to hire some system engineers, like from a local talent pool, and like those ads for hiring were like kind of usually pretty like corporate or a bit dry. So we were not kind of getting anywhere. There's a lot of companies kind of fighting for the same talent pool locally. So I kind of pitched them the idea of like, what about we kind of do something which those people would not expect? Let's do a little bit of an animation, something that maybe kind of can grab their attention. So that might be a good approach. So I pitched this idea that I can just kind of like deconstruct the building and then wires come out because it's like system engineering. We can like a tagline, help us rewire. I was really proud of my marketing skills at the time. And I did it. It was way more difficult than because I said, oh yeah, I'll finish it in 3 days, of course. Again, my ambition going way ahead of me. There was not a chance in hell I could have gotten a clean plate out of the photograph because this was like very bad. I think it was like November, October in Serbia. Like every day the weather was really, really bad, like foggy. I couldn't get a nice photograph, so I had to use something gold. I couldn't be bothered to kind of mask out all the trees. So what I ended up doing actually is that I found the architecture firm that kind of designed the building. They were really kind enough to actually give me the CAD models. So I just did it all actually in 3D and not as a 2D cutouts. But it was a great success. So we hired 2 system engineers within a month of this being released. So I kind of consider that as a mini win. But again, like all these excursions, that didn't really help with my original problem, which I had because, you know, aside from the things that I showed you again, like either a raven going for the next golden thing or trying something new, like my folder just kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And I was like, no, this has to stop. It did stop. So I said, like, I'm going to take one of the oldest things I have in my, that's my folder, and I'm going to create a loopable animation out of it. This was actually like one of the oldest sculpts when I would like try to learn ZBrush, this lantern in particular. So there's not much proceduralism in this scene as well. The actual lantern is mostly kind of, at least the base shape was sculpted in ZBrush. I did a lot of kind of VDB surface details on top of it. Like the beads and the candles are procedural, and the rock is a bit of a mixture of a scan data and COPs, like tertiary high frequency details on top. And flowers, of course, at this point I've done so many flowers that they were procedurally completely. But this felt, you know, like, okay, I'm going to do a little bit that looks a bit more cinematic, and I can maybe practice, you know, because I kind of didn't like that everything that I did had a little bit of a static camera shot. Sure, things were moving, but I kind of wanted now to see if I can actually direct a little bit of a camera movement. Again, I was interrupted rudely with some work. But again, interesting work because I was approached to ask a little bit of a help. It's a very interesting concept. It's like an exhibition in Serbia. It's a traveling exhibition that goes every year. It's a different setup, and every year they go through basically all the elementary schools in Serbia. It's like a traveling thing. And that year, the concept was like an exhibition around, you know, like climate change and how water affects us all. And this was the style. And I was like, oh, how can I help with this? I'm not an illustrator. Are you sure that no, like we need some AR activations? So like, okay, I can do that. But you also need some, let's call them like animations or bigger illustrations. Okay, I can try to mimic this. And I think I kind of nailed it. So this kind of, let's say, call it a first procedural illustration for me. To be honest, and like you can start with like simple shapes to just kind of break up the lines. So the actual modeling part was simple. I was lucky that the style was really kind of based on flat colors, so it was easy to mimic at this point. And the water lines, So we're just built by kind of taking all those assets and like building voxel meshes around them, and like they kept growing in size. So I could just boolean and get the water lines to kind of get this level of animation out of it. So what this happened is it kind of pushed me into this, okay, I want to like try to experiment more with NPR and proceduralism and Houdini. And at the time I was heavily watching Scavenger's Reign, and I don't know if any of you watched. Has anyone watched the show Scavenger's Reign? Okay, nice. You all must watch this show. It's an incredible TV show. I think it's like a masterclass in visual world building. Please do yourself justice and go watch this show. It has a very specific style. It has a beautiful creature design. This is one of the creatures from the film, and I was like, can I like this style feels like very interesting, but it's more complex than what I did for that exhibition. Like, can I rebuild this? I mean, and I tried, like that was the render that you just saw, and this was the process, but I couldn't actually like get it simply just through rendering, because I was rendering in Octane at that time, and like its toon capabilities are kind of limited. So I tried to replicate all the styles in the line on a mesh and SOP level, which felt out, you can kind of direct that in a sense to keep the lines like following the actual kind of curvature and flow. The animation, again, is procedural. It's completely done in KineFX. And I was actually happy how it turned out. But again, I was kind of feeling that as a snippet, it's okay. As a visual look test, it's fine. But I'm kind of missing a bit more like pizzazz to this. And this is kind of what I'm working on currently. This is one of my latest experiments. The proceduralism here, it's more on the distribution side. Like the actual meshes are just sculpts I did on Nomad and a little bit of kit bashing. But since Mobius is one of my like forever favorite comic book artists, I wanted to see if I can like kind of mimic his style. And this is actually more on a shading level than on a geometry level, because I switched to V-Ray for this, and you have a lot more freedom there to build custom shaders. You know, like actual cross sketch in the shadows and whatnot. And what is cool is that, if you like are very deliberate with your sculpts, and you like plan your hard edges in your mesh where you want them, and then you can have the shader pick up those hard edges and draw these kind of lines, you can actually kind of art direct that as well. So I kind of moved away from those loopable animations. I'm probably going to start doing a mixture of those two things probably very soon as I get a little bit more free time. But this is kind of generally the area of my exploration at this time. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so that was the last talk, but we do have time for some questions. That was a very, very energetic talk, so I hope that everyone is super awake and has some curious questions.
Thank you so much. It's a mind-blowing presentation for sure.
Oh, thank you.
About the rendering, you said that you use Octane, but did you use also Karma? Or?
Yes, I have tried Karma and I love it. I think it's a very good, needed improvement on the rendering side. For this type of stylized things, I still couldn't get it all the way to the level of control that I needed. You can do a lot of cool things with the new cops and the slap comp with the Karma, but again, not to the level which I kind of needed here. I actually did something like this first. That scene actually first started as a Karma renderer, but at one point I just felt like I needed more control, and I switched back to V-Ray. But I think that like soon enough, Houdini is going to crack that problem as well. So Karma should be a viable thing for NPR as well, because the new comp system is very powerful, especially when you start connecting it with the slap comp. I think it's a really nice way to work as well.
Thanks.
Since we are on the rendering topic, as a small plug, Octane is actually built here in Breda with a lot of our students on the team.
Really? I had no idea. Oh, lovely. Well, There you go. Learn something every day.
There was another question. Did I miss a hand?
What is the Octree library that you used on one of your projects that you presented in mid-presentation?
The what
The
library?
Octree.
The Octree. It's from an artist. I think it's called Lavrov. I think if you search for Lavrov HDA Octree, you should be able to find it. It was some time ago that I found it. If you cannot find it, ping me. I guess I can send you the HDA. I mean, generally, I'm a very like approachable and talkable person. So, and I have no problem about like sharing my files. I'm usually just too lazy to kind of clean them up and put them up on Gumroad or whatever. But if you feel like some of these like might be an interest to you, like feel free to reach out, and I'm sure that I can like help you out with whatever your problem is.
Okay. Thank you again, Nikola.
Thank you.